So outside of my, what I want to achieve in 2025, I really haven't made a video on this channel for a hot minute. I hadn't actually shot one since before the election. And, I thought, what do I want to cover? What do I want to, get back into in 2025? And, do I want to cover the election? Do I want to cover Donald Trump? What I think of Donald Trump? Do I want to get political? Do I want to, go after some hot button issues? What do I want to do? And I decided that no, at least for now, that's not something I want to tackle. I think we're all exhausted of politics. I know I'm exhausted of politics, but that did bring me into something that I do want to talk about, and that's social media. And, the idea of a social media detox is nothing new. There's probably hundreds of or thousands of videos on YouTube about that. So I don't necessarily want to approach it in that way, but I do want to talk about what I've noticed with myself with social media, and when I've used it a lot, when I've backed off on it, and even how different platforms have affected me and what I think I can pull away from that. The first thing I've noticed in general is the more I use it, and the more most of us use it, the more negativity we're putting into our lives. And, I'm talking Facebook, Instagram, I'm talking TikTok, Twitter, /X, those platforms, especially platforms that, get you on the scroll, get you the different hits of positivity, negativity, anger, all of that kind of stuff. One, they can suck a hell of a lot of time away from you. Two, they can really affect your mood, make, you really negative, take you out of your creative flow, and just stress you out. At least me, they can stress me out for sure. So that's what I have noticed about them in a very broad sense. And what I did for a couple months is I got not completely off of them, but largely off of them. Like after the election was over, after Trump won, I'll just say I did not vote for Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump is a piece of shit. There you go. There is the political hot button for this video. But I was mad. I was really, really pissed. I was disgusted. I was angry. I was getting into fights with people on Facebook, people on Twitter. I was just, it was happening. I was in a very aggressive mindset, that these people were my enemy, and that their choice to vote for Donald Trump was the end of American democracy, and now we're fucked. And that's where my head was at. And I literally spent several days incredibly angry, like to a extremely unhealthy degree that probably none of you have ever seen me angry like that on this channel. And I had a couple people in my life like sit me down and be like, we need you to like chill. We got to figure this out, because you can't live the next 4 years like this. You're going to have like a heart attack or a brain aneurysm or something crazy is going to happen to your health, because you can't sustain this level of anger. And they were completely right. That doesn't mean that I agree with Donald Trump, but it does mean that I needed to figure out how to regulate myself a little bit better. And how I ended up doing that was largely getting off of social media or limiting how I interacted with it. There is a wonderful plugin for browsers called Newsfeed Eradicator. And what that basically does is it allows you to choose on a number of websites, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, I think even LinkedIn, and a couple others, YouTube even, to hide the news feeds, the home pages, all of that, and just put like a little inspirational quote up so you can't just hop on them and start scrolling. Like you have to go in and turn it off, and you can choose, turn it off for set length of time or forever. And pretty much all the time I have Facebook newsfeed eradicated, Instagram newsfeed eradicated, Twitter newsfeed eradicated, LinkedIn I'm almost never on, and part of the time I have the YouTube feed eradicated when I need to focus, although I really like, seeing what's on the YouTube homepage But what I did also do with YouTube, because I had the algorithm trained pretty much to, show me a lot of political stuff, be that from mainstream sources, be that from different independent, YouTube media outlet sources, stuff like that. I had all that really dialed in. Actually, on this channel, this is kind of the channel that I watched all that stuff on, my filmmaking channel. I kind of had that algorithm primed for filmmaking, all of that kind of stuff. But I went in, and you can tell YouTube, do not show me content from this channel on your home feed. And I did that for all the mainstream news sources, all of the big independent news sources that I was watching. Basically, anytime I see news on my YouTube homepage, I will hide that channel, tell it, don't show me content from this channel. And then by watching other kinds of videos, I've trained YouTube that I don't want that kind of content. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see those sorts of inflammatory headlines, those, Donald Trump did this bullshit or whatever. Like, I don't want to see that. And my Twitter, I deactivated it for a time. We'll talk about that because I've kind of had a little bit of a regression, and I want to talk about what I realized in that. But for a good couple months, I wasn't on Twitter. I wasn't seeing much of my Facebook news feed. I wasn't seeing any of my Instagram news feed, which was kind of a whole different thing, because Instagram, I was just getting more frustrated and jealous that other people are working on really cool projects and I'm not doing what I want to be doing, and just a whole kind of different negativity around Instagram. However, when it came to getting just all the political stuff, getting all of that jealousy crap, getting all of that stuff out of my life and newsfeed, suddenly I felt a lot more creative, and I was able to create a whole lot more really cool, good stuff in my life. A lot of cool projects, get a lot of really neat stuff rolling, and I was so excited for that. But the reality also is that through all this social media, all of these little dopamine hits that we get, all of the little, I don't know what chemicals it is when you get mad, but whatever that is, there's this addiction to negativity, and it's really hard to stay away from it. And I found myself, just going back and peaking a little bit and getting mad and wasting time. And so I also ended up taking pretty much all the applications off my phone as well. Like, I deleted TikTok off my phone because that was a huge time waster. Like, I literally could waste, I wake up in the morning, scroll for 2 hours, then get out of bed, and at night, go to bed and scroll for another 2 hours, watch different people's lives, watch people arguing, watch video after video after video that of course was curated to inflammatory, angry type content, not anything that enhanced my life, enriched my life, educated me. So, got rid of that. I still have YouTube on my phone because I don't watch, YouTube that much when it comes to, being on my phone. If I want it on my phone, it's probably just to check my statistics of what's going on with my channels, or, maybe I'm, doing dishes or something and I can put on a video to listen to and, do the dishes and enjoy YouTube in that way, more of like the podcast type of stuff. But, I really limited what I was doing. Obviously I took Twitter off my phone when I deactivated it. So, my social media was much more limited. And if there's social media that I couldn't take off my phone, like I can't necessarily take Instagram off my phone because, people want to network through, give me your Instagram, and it's just easier to have it on the phone. I hide it from my home screen on my iPhone, and so I don't see it, so I don't think about it. But then what I found, particularly kind of at the end of December into January, is I started to get that creeping wanting to go back on certain social media platforms, specifically Twitter. There's something really addicting, especially because I am in the Ukraine space where I am, very much for Ukraine. That is the space that I am in on Twitter. And that's an inflammatory space. That's a space, and particularly because Twitter has such generally lax community guideline standards, there's very little that you can't say other than things that are illegal to say, any threats to people, da 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 da. You can't say that kind of stuff. But largely you can swear and curse and insult and just be the worst version of yourself. And, the worst thing that's going to happen is you might have a post get flagged as potentially harmful, and then nobody can interact with it. It gets hidden by default. You don't really suffer any other consequences. And I reactivated my Twitter account before it got permanently deleted, because it basically, you have 30 days after you deactivate it before it gets deleted. And so I reactivated it like right before it got deleted, because I was like, maybe I'll want it again. And that got me back on it. And I felt myself instantly hooked again, because there is this ridiculous power in feeling self-righteous in fighting with people and just, cursing people out, and not proud of that at all. However, there is this weird allure to it. But the thing that I realize is, even though it feels good in the moment, it makes me feel generally like crap. Like genuinely, I feel a lot crappier, when I spend, rather it's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, whatever, however much time I spend on there. It doesn't feel good once I've left. It hits all of those things that need to scroll. Maybe I can find something else. Maybe I can find somebody else to just ream over the coals for, saying that they support Russia's invasion of Ukraine or whatever. That doesn't feel good. And it's not a good thing. It's not who I want to be. It doesn't align with my 2025 goals. TikTok, I feel pretty good leaving. Like, every time I go back on TikTok, like log in on the computer, it feels gross inside. Like, I don't like it. I don't want to go back to it. I don't want to put it back on my phone. But somehow, I don't know what it is about the Twitter algorithm, whatever, evil shit that Elon has done with that platform to tweak that algorithm. It's addictive, and it's unfortunate. To me, it speaks to that there's something maybe unhealed in me that I need to, instead of going and fighting with people online and wasting time, I need to look at that. I need to figure out what part of me gets something out of that. Why? And why do I feel that being angry is somehow beneficial? And why do I need to somehow feel self-righteous? And why do I need to feel like I am right and these little bastards are wrong and I can say whatever the fuck I want to say to them? And, like, that's not cool. That's not the kind of shit that I want. When I look back on my life, if I have the opportunity to grow old and, die in a peaceful way, that's not what I want to look back on my life and go, yeah, back in my, early 30s, I was just this internet warrior and just, telling people who supported the invading Russians to go fuck themselves. Like, that's not something that I'm going to be proud of. I'm proud of the support that I have given to Ukraine. I am proud of what I've been able to do in practical terms to help certain people that I know in Ukraine, help certain organizations that are, providing tourniquets, that are doing a lot of different really good things in Ukraine. I'm proud of that. I'm incredibly proud of that. But I'm not going to be proud of wasting hours arguing with trolls online. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to deactivate my Twitter again. That's just, it's going to be what it is. I'm going to try and just let my Twitter die, because it is a negative platform. It's a time-wasting platform. And I'm going to try for the rest of 2025 to minimize my use of social media. I'm going to try, and use Facebook either if there is somebody that I really want to connect with in my life, or if I want to network, kind of use it as a business networking kind of platform, kind of like LinkedIn is supposed to be, but I don't even know who the fuck uses LinkedIn. Whole nother topic. However, Instagram. I've even considered deleting my Instagram and just being like, I'm sorry, I don't have an Instagram, when people want to network, and giving them like a business card or something like that. Because it's just not a platform I like. It's not a platform that I'm growing on. Really, if you want to call YouTube a social media platform, that's like the social media platform that I enjoy, that I really like. And certainly you can get dragged into rabbit holes on YouTube, but there's also ways with how the algorithm works that it's pretty easy to avoid those rabbit holes. If I don't want a certain type of video to pop up, I can just, tell it YouTube several times, not interested in this video, and it's going to stop feeding me those videos. If I stop clicking on those videos, it is going to stop feeding me. It's a pretty responsive algorithm, sometimes too much. You watch one video on something and suddenly half your feed is that thing. But it also is pretty easy to train the algorithm out of certain things. So all to say, I'm challenging myself for 2025 to be much less on social media, waste much less time on social media, and rather leverage certain platforms to benefit me and what I want to achieve, rather than let myself be a slave to them, and a slave to the dopamine hits, and a slave to the part of myself that can justify being angry at people and, browbeating people for supporting, fascist invaders, or, being MAGA or whatever. Because that's not who ultimately I want to be. I feel like a lot of my deconstruction process at this point, and reconstruction process, is getting rid of the us versus them mentality, getting rid of the anger, the highs, the chasing of emotion that you often got with church, that I think you really get with the sin, guilt, repent cycle. Social media feels very much the same in that sort of way, which might be part of why it's so addicting to me. Is it's like, oh, get mad. No, now I feel bad that I did that. No, I wasted that time. And oh no, and oh, I'll repent. Or, that kind of thing. It's better just to leave those platforms behind. Leaving the self-righteousness of religion behind is a big factor too, and particularly why Twitter is so addicting is because of the circles that I'm in, and just the nature of the platform, and that I can say whatever I want to say basically within those very few clear guidelines. Is I can be self-righteous. I can feel that self-righteousness that I felt as a Christian. Those heathens that are going to hell, and those awful people, those awful sinners. And even though I really wasn't like that outwardly, I think that there's a part of me that, just being raised in that, felt that self-righteousness. And oftentimes, honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, I felt that self-righteousness against certain Christians. It was like, well, I'm the better Christian because I'm doing more ministry, and I'm not like you, judging all the different people. And, even though I was judging all the other Christians and being like, well, you're not helping the homeless the way I'm helping the homeless. You're not helping the immigrants the way I'm helping the immigrants. You're not preaching to people the way that I'm trying to preach to my friends and bring them into the gospel. You're just coasting. You're a lukewarm Christian and all that bullshit. Yeah, fuck that. Even though I wouldn't say fuck that at that time. That is the mindset, and that's the mindset that Twitter feeds, and that's the mindset that I want to get out of. And so that's probably a place where I'm going to seek some healing, going to spend some time with that. And honestly, in making this video, I didn't even think that I was going to go there. This literally is one of those videos where it's a little bit more stream of consciousness. I know I wanted to talk about the social media and kind of some of the points, but as I'm making this video, I'm like, oh wow, that's probably why Twitter is so freaking addicting to me. With all that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up, guys. Let me know what you think of social media. Let me know if you have the social media addiction, if you've gotten rid of any social medias, what your tricks are to keep it from controlling your life, and I will catch you in the next video.